Hello and welcome to Sarvan Install Coding. Have you ever built a Docker project on your local machine and then wondered, how do I deploy this to a real world server? This is where many developers get stuck. Building a containers is one thing, but deploying a full stack application with Frontend, Backend, database, Docker Compose on a VPS is completely a different challenge. In this video, I'll show you how to take the real-world full-stack application and deploy it from scratch on Linux server. We will install the Docker, we will clone our project from GitHub repository, and we will build the containers and get our entire application active on our VPS. If you are new to Docker and you haven't watched previous sections yet, you can find full descriptions linked in the description below. And now if you're ready to move beyond the local development and want to learn how Docker applications work in real world, let's get started. In this part of our Docker course, it's time to deploy our entire application to a server. For demonstrations, I've rent a VPS, and together we're going to deploy our complete application step by step. The application includes the React.js frontend, a Node.js backend, and a Mongo database, also a Mongo Express and dashboard. We will use Docker and Docker Compose to get everything running on our new server. To connect the VPS, we'll use the PowerShell just like we normally do. So here in PowerShell, for the first time, we will connect using the root user account. So I write here SSH root @ the IP address of the VPS, and then press enter. At this point, we need to enter the root password. Keep in mind that when you're typing a password in Linux terminal, nothing will appear on the screen. This is completely normal. Just type the password and then press enter. Once you log in, the first thing you are going to do is to create a new user account. Now you might be wondering why we don't simply continue working as root user, because the root user has restricted access to entire server, and while that might sound convenient, it is actually risky. A simple mistake such as running a wrong command, deleting a wrong directory, or executing an unsafe script can affect the whole system. So for security reasons, it's considered the best practice to perform day-to-day administration tasks using the regular user account and only use relevant privilege when necessary through the sudo command. This approach reduces the risk of accidental damage and improves the security. So before installing anything else, let's create a dedicated user and use that account for the rest of the setup. So here I clear the screen, and the first thing I'm going to do is creating a new user. By running the command add user, I want to create a new user named Sarvin. We have to specify the new password for our new user, so I write the password here. Retype the new password again and type the full name if you want. Also room number, work phone, home phone, and other information, and then press yes to creating the user. Once the user has been created, we need to grant administrator privilege by running user mode -a capital G sudo and the name of our user, which is Sarvin. User mode is used to modify an existing user account. -a means append, so we are adding the user to additional group without removing any existing group memberships, and -j sudo specify that we want to add the user to sudo group. Users in sudo group are allowed to execute administrative commands using the sudo command. So this gives us a flexibility to perform system-level tasks when necessary without logging as a root user. After creating the user and guaranteeing the sudo privilege, we need to switch to new account in one of these ways. The first way is typing a su dash username, which is Sarvin. And another way is simply exiting the account and logging it again by changing the user, which I write here. I change to user root to user Sarvin. Again, you need to specify the password here. And as you can see here, the user is Sarvin now. Let's clear the screen again. At this point, we're ready to install the Docker on the VPS. To install Docker, I recommend the following official documentation. So open your browser and type here install Docker engine on Ubuntu. And here the first link is related to Docker docs. Inside this page, you can find the documentation on how you can install the Docker on your Linux here. The first thing we need to do is to update our apt package. So I copy this command and here I execute this apt update. We need to write the password again for user Sarvin. Now let's move on to the second command, which is install CA certification. Here I paste it again. Then the next one. And this command. Here we're downloading the Docker official GBG K. And let's move to the next one. And here, let's copy all the commands from here and paste it here. These commands adds Docker official repository to Ubuntu package sources. And finally, let's run the sudo apt update to refresh the Ubuntu package index. This allows the system to fetch the latest package information, including Docker package that are now available on repository we just added. And let's go to install Docker packages here. Oh, here. And yes. This command installs Docker engine and all essential tools that comes with it, including Docker Compose. And let's move to the next command. Now our installation is complete and it's a good idea to verify that everything is installed correctly. So let's check the Docker version by docker-v command. And the next step is here. As you can see, is to check the Docker status by sudo systemctl status docker. Let's check it and copy and paste it here. As you can see, Docker is running and everything is okay. To exit here, just press Q. And if for some reasons your Docker is not running, you should run it by executing this command, sudo systemctl start docker. If you restart the server, check the Docker status. If it is not running, you should write a sudo systemctl start docker. And finally, let's verify the installation by running this command, sudo docker run hello world. And this command downloads a small test image from Docker Hub and runs it inside the container. So if you see the hello from Docker message here, that means Docker is installed correctly and the Docker is running and your server is able to pull and execute a container successfully. At this point, we can be confident that our Docker installation is working properly and we're ready to deploy our application. Let's try running a simple Docker command, which is docker ps. As you can see, we got a permission error because our current user doesn't have permission to communicate with Docker daemon, we can run this command with sudo docker ps. But if you don't want to use sudo every time you want to execute a Docker command, you can simply add the user servin to Docker group by writing the sudo user mode -a j docker servin. But after running this command, make sure that you have to log in and log out again. And once you log in again, you can write the Docker commands without sudo. So this time I can simply write docker ps, and as you can see, I have a privilege to run this command. With Docker ready to go, it's time to deploy your application and transfer project file to the server. The easiest and most common way is using Git. You can use your own Git server or a Git repository. In my case, I already pushed my project to my server install Git repository under the Docker test app. Before cloning the project into the server, there's a few changes you'd need to make when moving your application from localhost to VPS. First of all, if your frontend was previously sending requests to localhost, here in Docker file, as you can see, the IP address is HTTP localhost port 301. And when you transfer your website, your API to the VPS or other server, you need to change the API address to the IP address of the VPS or the domain name of the VPS. In my case, I have to change the localhost to the IP address of the VPS. I transfer this environment variable to Docker Compose file here. As you can see, under the web service, I add a new environment. I write an environment variable, React App API URL, and change the localhost to the IP address of my VPS. So the API request will send to the VPS address instead of the localhost. You also need to update your backend course configurations to allow the request coming from your server's address. Here in the index.js file, in the app.use core policies, I add another item to the origin, and there was localhost 300. I add the HTTP, the address of the VPS, to the course policies. Otherwise, the browser will block communication between the front end and backend. So you have to change this. Also, in the Docker Compose file, as you remember, maybe in the database, I mentioned a name, username, and password here, and also I write a username and password for the dashboard of the MongoDB. Here, servin pass. For security reason, you may want to change this username and password. So here, if you need and if you want, you can change it here. Once our adjustments are made, it's time to install the Git and clone our repository. So let's move back to the PowerShell here, and for installing the Git, simply we write sudo apt install Git. Once the Git is installed, we need to choose where we want our application files to copy or leave on our servers. In my case, I'd like to keep all of my project inside the directory called apps. So let's create this directory here. We create a directory with mkdir command and the directory name, which I want to be apps. Let's move inside this directory. So I write cd apps. So it's time to copy our application files from GitHub. So let's head over to our Git repository, and inside the code here copy the clone address, HTTP address of the repository, and here inside the PowerShell, I write the command git clone and then the HTTP URL of our Git repository. As you can see, after cloning process is completed, let's run again ls. And as you see, here is our repository name. Let's go inside the Docker test app and another ls to see what is it inside the directory. As you can see, all of my files are copied, including the backend folder, frontend folder, and the YAML files. At this point, we're ready to deploy the entire application using Docker Compose. Since our Compose file already defines all service network volume we can bring everything up with a single command, which is Docker Compose up -- build and -d to run everything in detachment. As you can see, Docker built the image and also created the network volume, and all the containers are started. Now let's verify that everything is working correctly or not. So I open a browser on my local machine and I navigate to the VPS address, followed by port 8081 because I want to open the Mongo Express dashboard. As you can see, the dashboard is open. It shows that the database is created successfully, and now I create a new database named UserDB, and also I will create a new collection inside the database UserDB. Now let's test the front end. I navigate to port 8080 of my VPS. As you can see, the React application loads successfully. To make sure everything is working properly, let's add a new user. I create a new user named Sarvin. And as you can see, it's created. Let's check the database by refreshing the collection page. As you can see here, my user is created. As you can see, everything is working exactly as expected. The front end can communicate with backend, the backend can communicate with MongoDB, and all of our containers are running properly. With that, we're successfully deploy our entire full stack application to a VPS using Docker Compose and a single deployment command. Now we've reached the end of our Docker course. We have come a long way from learning the Docker fundamentals to deploying a complete full stack application on real VPS. If you have followed the entire series, you should now have the complete solid understanding of Docker and, more importantly, the confidence to use it in your own projects. On the upcoming videos, we will continue building on what we have learned in this Docker course, and we will continue cover the topics like Nginx, custom domains, SSH certificate, and also building private Git repositories. If you enjoyed this series and want to keep learning, make sure to hit the subscribe button and turn on the notifications so you don't miss the next videos. Thank you for watching, thank you for supporting, and until the next video, happy coding!